Hello, and welcome to the Exponential Growth Podcast, powered by Analyst Investors. I'm your host, David Olivenia, co-founder of Analyst Investors, and a passionate advocate for leveraging innovation and technology to drive success. Let's get started. This is Exponential Growth. I also want to give gratitude to Salvi Media. They're the founding sponsor of the podcast. They're a premier executive content agency dedicated to crafting exceptional content and strategies that elevate companies' brands and their executives. They're creators of the Emmy Award-winning CEO series. I think many of you have seen that. We've also featured one of my portfolio companies, Analyst Investors and Hallow, on their CEO series. And they've had in-depth interviews with CEOs talking about their personal journeys and business experience. The CEO series can be found on Cheddar, Entrepreneur Magazine, Reach TV, and really want to thank Salvi Media for their support of the podcast. You can also follow them on social media, as well as they have a podcast studio in Chicago. Join them as well. So again, thank you, Salvi Media, for making this podcast possible. We have a special edition of the Exponential Growth Podcast with a dear friend, successful entrepreneur, and somebody who recently had a major announcement with a Series A funding round. We'll talk more about. And we were doing a little bit of research here. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of startups in the U.S. or companies that start up, small businesses or whatever, but very few make it to Series A and beyond in terms of fundraising rounds. About 1,000 to 2,000 or so make it to Series A. And today we have one of them with us here, Ruben Garcia, the CEO of Certiverse. Ruben, welcome. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you, David.
All right. Excellent. Well, hey, so Ruben, so first of all, just quickly, Certiverse, disrupting these dinosaurs in the testing and certification area. But give the listeners here a little bit more about Certiverse and what you guys do.
Sure. So Certiverse is it's an online platform that allows organizations to quickly design, develop, and launch high quality, psychometrically valid certification exams. And if you think about today's learners, professionals, and all the upskilling, a lot of that involves learning online, learning through new ways, and then a lot of these learners want something tangible at the end, right? If they go and they take a course online, apart from the course, they want to be able to show that they've learned a skill or have acquired a skill. And one of the ways you do that is through certifications. And so the goal for Certiverse is really to allow a lot more organizations to design, develop, and launch these certification exams. You talked about legacy. There's a lot of legacy companies out there. The legacy process for building and launching a certification exam is hundreds of thousands of dollars in cost and takes can take over a year to 2 years to launch one certification. And what we're trying to do is we're really trying to innovate in this space and allow organizations such as NVIDIA, a lot of large enterprises to quickly build these certification exams so that they can build out a portfolio of certifications. The impact is really more on the consumer side, right? Because those high costs get passed down to the learners and the professionals. So our goal is really to help not only increase the market but also decrease the cost for consumers who are taking those certifications.
Well, and then from Analyst Investors, our angel group, and then our fund, we're both invested early on. As you've been on roughly a 5-year-ish journey, and you touched on a couple. I mean, these are marquee brands, right? You think about what NVIDIA and Atlassian and others in terms of the tech that they're putting out, the type of certification tests, and you have to keep redoing. But you also have another huge set of brands that you have. Can you share any more, either brands or industries that you're focused in, that you have as customers?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, it's an interesting industry, right? It's a very risk-averse industry, so it takes a long time for non-technical organizations to start to embrace the technologies and new models. but when as I mentioned earlier, when you the early adopters in any change in this industry, at least, are high tech IT certification organizations. So like the AWSs and the Microsofts and so forth, right? Those are the Linux Foundation, which is one of our customers. Those are the customers that are helping lead and adopt new changes, right? And that happened with remote proctoring. It took those large companies, Red Hat, to shift the market and to say, hey, the old legacy way of having to go to a testing center, it's not only is it costly and inefficient, we have to embrace new ways of doing it, right? And they really helped with online proctoring and helping getting that adopted. Now, almost every single organization is doing online proctoring, where you can take your exam at home. So on the content and exam development side, it's almost the same thing. It takes a while for the organizations to say, is this process valid? Is it gonna impact my quality and so forth, right? So the very kind of first stage of I would say clients they've proven that that the platform works, that it work, that the technology works. You mentioned some of our clients, but we have clients have been using the platform for a while, like Stripe Payments and HashiCorp and so forth. Um, and now really the focus of Certiverse is to help scale the platform and to get it into the hands of more non-IT clients, right? So the traditional market really, and also a lot of new programs that just don't exist. So um, we do have other clients like the National Restaurant Association, which is, there is food tech, but their their exams have nothing to do with food tech. Or they could. I don't know the details of the certifications that are being built on our platform, but um, I think that we're now crossing that threshold where there's other organizations, I would say like professional certifications, some healthcare certifications that are now on the platform. I don't want to make any announcements yet because they're still not public yet. But I would say that I think we've gotten there now where there's confidence in what we built, and there's confidence in the quality of the and validity of the certifications that are being built on Certiverse.
It's excellent. Excellent. Great to hear. And you've been at it 5 years, right? So, and along the way, you've had to grow, learn, build this company, right? Just kind of roughly, and this is also your second startup, right? At least.
Mhm.
But you've raised some money, rough, and which is not easy, right? We're getting to very few, there's all these startups, very few get to seed, to raise money at
Mhm.
seed. And then a very, very small, like I said, 1,000 or so every year get to Series A. And so, roughly, how much money have you raised? And then let's talk a little bit more about the Series A round, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've raised roughly around 17 million all the way from start to finish.
Excellent. And any quick, learnings or experiences you'd say on the way of just raising money, growing a company, getting it to this point of Series A?
Um, I don't know. I'm sure there's, I mean, I think on the raising part, like part of what we did is, we really tried to focus on just taking the right amount of capital and, and, I've learned a lot of lessons from the first company I started and, exited from, but also learned lessons even from Certiverse, right? And I've kept the team very disciplined on building a company with the right amount of capital and not raising, double or triple of what we could have raised, right? And we've always had offers for double or triple of what we're raising. And part of that is that, we want to maintain a discipline of building an amazing company. And I think part of, when you have a lot of capital, I think that like it gets in the way of building an amazing company, right? So as an example, when we came on to raise our Series A, we were cash flow neutral, right? We didn't have crazy startup burn, right? And we had grown we've grown almost 400% year over year when we went to go and raise. And that success is part of, the team was driven to really turn Certiverse into a business, right? And I think it's really difficult when you have a lot of lot of capital, you kind of forget that you're building a business, right? And that's really what the goal of the, obviously we're doing a lot of great things with the platform, and we're bringing the cost down of certification exams, and we're helping more people get certified, which will help them get careers and land better jobs, et cetera. Um, but we're also building a business, right? And I think that was part of our focus is let's build the business and let's focus on making something that is going to be, high margin, right? And something
Yeah.
that's going to be um, of value to people. And the other thing that I also didn't want to be in this position of, which a lot of startups are, right? Is they're, they build, and then they don't get product market fit. And, and then they're kind of desperate for capital. And I think that also it puts strains on, that kind of, the methodology of raising and then like, having 6 months left before your next raise, I think puts a lot of strain on the founders, the team, and also the current investors, right? So, I don't know, so we were always very conservative about what we were raising, and really we're trying to build a business, not just burning through a lot of cash and pivoting and trying to be a little bit chaotic and stuff like that.
Well, kudos, you've done. I mean, so far so good, right? You still a lot more to accomplish there, and I think it's something to be very proud of and excited, and we are extremely proud of you and the team. When you not so now you got the Series A, it's publicly announced, some great investors in there, including us. Now you got the capital infusion. You're going to spend it
Mhm.
very wisely and efficiently. But
Yes.
kind of what's next? What's next? What's next for Certiverse?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've started this, we've invented a new model for exam development and for launching exams. And I mean, we've iterated um, on the legacy model in many ways, right? There's things like where just to design an exam, you would fly people in and you would spend all this money and it would be synchronous, right? And we made this thing online and we made it asynchronous and we made it, AI driven and so forth. We've also flipped the way our business model is. The legacy business model is they take all your money up front and then you have to like wait and cross your fingers that you can turn that certification exam that gets designed and built into revenue, right? Whereas we decide we are going to share the risk with you, right? And we're going to take a very small payment up front, which is our SaaS fee, and we are only going to generate revenue when you start selling those certification exams, when you build out your program. So like we're doing a lot of things that are different, and really, I think that part of our success is in how we innovated, not just in the technology side, but also on the business model side. And our focus is we really pivoted and said we're going to pivoted away from the legacy model. We said we're going to
Yeah.
focus on the people that are taking the exams, and we're going to build the best experience for them, and we're also going to build the best experience for our customers, and we're not going to like nickel and dime them along the way, so that it's pretty crazy when when you hear stories about how the large companies, the legacy companies, they charge for everything. Build an exam, publish it or whatever. There's publishing fees. If you want to fix a typo, there's another fee for that. It's
Yeah.
really crazy. So
That's
we
gonna
we
be
decided to.
frustrating. That'd be frustrating.
It's
Very frustrating.
it is, yeah. But so part of that's kind of been the first phase, and now what we're doing with this capital is we're really looking at scaling the platform so that we went from about a dozen clients in 2023 to around 50 clients today. So end of
Wow.
23, we ended up with about a dozen clients. Fast forward a year later, we're at 50. So what we really want to do now is build a platform that can scale to 1,000 organizations, which means that we have to continue to innovate, double down on innovation, and look at ways where we can leverage more AI, leverage more automation, to continue to reduce the cost and the time for launching a certification exam. So that's a big part of it. Part of who we sell to today are certification managers, exam developers that work in these organizations. And we really want to change that so that non-exam development experts can also buy Certiverse or use Certiverse to launch certification exams. So that's the next phase, I would say. There's a lot of work to get there. It's not that easy. And then the other piece of it as well is that we want to create more security technologies so that we can deliver higher stake exams, right? So like if you think of, there's a certification can be as a low stake certification where you might do it for your employer, or it might be like like an entry level IT certification, all the way up to a certification that certifies you as a healthcare specialist in some area, right? So those certifications require more security, and we need to build out more features and more security so that we can allow those organizations to also build exams in our platform.
Oh, excellent, excellent, Ruben. Well, hey, thanks for I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Thanks for jumping on, sharing not only the journey, a couple of your perspectives, but all the exciting things that you got going on with Certiverse. I know you're active on social media, definitely
Mhm.
LinkedIn. How do people, continue to follow
I,
you on social?
yeah, I mean LinkedIn is where I live. I love to tell stories about where we're at, what we're doing, what we're working on. That's my preference. So if you look up Certiverse and look up Ruben Arturo Garcia, I'm there on LinkedIn, and follow me, connect with me, and I'm happy to yeah, like my stuff.
There you go. There you go. Well, Ruben, hey, thanks again. Much success to you and Certiverse.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
David. And also, just really quick, thank you for supporting us. You guys have been there since day one, so I've been very appreciative of all the support that we've received from the Angeles community, and and it's meant a lot, and it's really helped us build this incredible company. So thank you.
All right, excellent. We're proud to be a part of the journey, man. Have a great one. Tons of success.
All right, take care. Bye bye.